destiny. So patiently you came to see the side of me. It only bleed. Yeah, they wanna come and play. They could always get the way. You can be my hideaway. You can take the knife away. I know they might in a cell. Grab my bed and hold my breath. Tear me down, ain't nothing left. Shadows on the other. And the ones that love me the most are the ones that up and ghost. And I get a feeling that the reason that they go in my stomach, I feel that pit. Toughen up, but I scared as shit. And when I lay my head, it shows. Yeah, I got demons on the side of my head. I close my eyes and they get in my head. So stay with me, my remedy. I never sleep, but with you I can get some rest. Yeah, I got demons on the side of my head. I close my eyes and they get in my head. So stay with me, my remedy. I never sleep, but with you I can get some rest. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is that time once again. This is your boy Bernie here, of course, on The Charge, getting the latest NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Monday, President's Day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time it is where you're at. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your time doing whatever it is that you did on today's President's Day. Of course, like I said, my name is Bernie. Again, The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And today, guys, we got a couple stories to talk about. Of course, the main segment of today's Charge episode. And of course, Brad and Logan, unfortunately, will not be here today just due to some schedule conflicts. So they will be hopefully back on Wednesday. We'll try and reschedule for that day. But nevertheless, we will be talking the main segment. And I'm going to have to hold my own feet to the fire here. And that's, of course, the Boston Celtics and the recent struggles that we've been going down. I mean, we look at the roster, the way it's constructed, and everything I'm seeing here from the Boston Celtics as it pertains to their roster, it's just not good. Like, it's just not good enough to compete for a championship. It's a nice young roster. There's some good players here and there that could potentially be something, but unfortunately, that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. Just give me 1 second. And as we kind of just, as everybody kind of trickles in here to the Charge, and like I said, guys, I just want to thank everybody here that is watching live or anybody that is watching the stream right now. I do appreciate you guys joining me on, of course, President's Day weekend. And like I said, the main segment is going to be the Boston Celtics. Then we're going to go into more of the Andre Drummond situation. It seems like the Cavaliers do not want this guy to play. They want him to just sit on the bench and wait until somebody trades for him. We'll talk about him and his contract and the ramifications of that trade. And then we'll also talk about another player that could be on the trade block as well. And that's, of course, Blake Griffin, who, for all intents and purposes, has not gotten a dunk yet in his NBA season so far. And it's just not looking like the same Blake Griffin that we once knew. Owed $39 million in 2021, 2022. So his contract is huge. They're going to have to figure something out there for the Detroit Pistons. And let's get started with kind of what I just last talked about, and those, of course, Blake Griffin. So let's get going. And of course, guys, like I said, we are going to talk about Blake Griffin first and foremost. Blake Griffin to remain out of the lineup as the Pistons look for a trade and buyout options. Of course, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Blake Griffin and the Detroit Pistons have agreed for Griffin to sit out games as the franchise looks for a trade or buyout options, sources tell Adrian Wojnarowski. The team is looking to rebuild and play their young players, including Sadiq Bey, of course, won Player of the Week last week, so congrats to him. Killed and torched my Celtics. I believe he had 24 or 30 points. I can't remember what it was, but he absolutely torched my team. And so, as we kind of look at this, Blake Griffin, as an extensive conversation with the organization looking to rebuild, like I said, playing with the younger players, they're trying to find a resolution for Blake, and I don't blame Blake Griffin for not wanting to play. I mean, I wouldn't want to play either if I know that this team is just not looking to, one, to get in the best interest of myself, and two, what's it look like we're going to build, like what's the build going to be around, I think when the when the Clippers traded, when they signed him and did that sign and trade, I think they were looking for, the Pistons were looking for someone that could really help them out, really give them a spark, give them, that playoff experience, give them to that playoff berth at least. And unfortunately, it just has not worked out for Blake Griffin and the Detroit Pistons at this point. Dwayne Casey's probably had it up to here with him. I'm sure Blake Griffin himself has had it up to here with the Detroit Pistons. And so I think this is going to be mutually beneficial for both teams to not be playing with one another. But at the end of the day, it is sad to see where Blake Griffin kind of went. I was never a Blake Griffin fan. I always thought that, he's kind of, I think his gimmick was good, at the beginning, but as his career, projects, I just didn't see a very big future for him. Like, I thought he was going to be a decent player, just didn't think that he was going to be anything special. And in that draft, obviously Steph Curry was the one that probably should have went number 1 overall. And Blake Griffin probably could have felt around over there, but unfortunately, Blake Griffin right now is just not playing to the same situation, the same standard as I would say many of these other guys that we see here in the league. And, for a guy that used to be so good, an all-star, and just playing at an elite level, it's kind of sad to see that his elite level only lasted for so long and just hasn't found and resonated since joining the Detroit Pistons. You expect someone in the East, especially the early years where, a lot of the guys didn't even move out East yet. You had a lot of guys in the West. Everybody was playing out there. Everyone was battling. And so Blake Griffin probably could have made an all-star game, an all-star team. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And like I said, Blake Griffin owed $36.6 million remaining on this season's deal and then $39 in next year's. I mean, they're going to have to figure something. They're going to have to figure out a trade or a buyout option because that is a lot of money, especially for a center that or for a power forward center, one of those tweener builds. Like that's just not something that you want on your roster, right? You don't want that salary cap and that huge hit if he's not going to be producing the stats and the quality. You give that stuff to Giannis, you give it to players that are in their prime, and I just think that Blake Griffin at age, I believe he's only 31. I mean, let's look at Blake Griffin's age. Blake... I mean, that's the thing. Blake Griffin is only 31 years old when you really think about it here and there. I mean, we thought about guys like LeBron James, Chris Paul. They were able to keep up in their prime. And it's just kind of crazy to think, a year younger than Kevin Love, and it's just not at the same level and expectations that we thought of. My boy Pete and I, when we first did the show, many years ago, well, really like 2 or 3 years ago, he talked about, Blake Griffin just wanted to continue his comedy career, and he just kind of wanted to build that and not really focus on basketball. In the 2009 draft, number 1 pick, I just think that it's just kind of crazy to me that for someone that was so good, someone that was so gifted, it just didn't work out at the end of his career. And, we look at, his stats and what he was. He was an all-star in his 2019 season. I mean, 2018, 2019. I mean, 24 points per game. Like, that was his second year in Detroit, and he's balled out. He showed, like, okay, maybe Blake Griffin at age 29 still has something, but then you see when he gets to age 30 and 31, the points per game just drop completely. It drops from, like, a guy averaging 20 points a game to only averaging 15, and now only averaging 12, which, of course, Blake Griffin is now saying, you know what, I'm just not going to play anymore for this season. And I think what's kind of sad for me is that, like, he is very, I would say, much older now, and it's just sad to see that his legs and his body just can't move as quick as it once did. He moves at a much slower pace. He moves at a pace where it's like, man, he really needs to be, maybe retired. I mean, that's kind of the mindset that I get with Blake Griffin. I think Blake Griffin's going to retire earlier rather than later. And I think it's just due to the fact that he just can't move the way that he once did. He looks like anytime you play the Detroit Pistons, he's the guy that you attack the most because he's not moving that much on defense. And as it pertains to everything that we see here on this whole situation, it's just like, I expect Blake Griffin to be the guy to do something with, for a guy that you're paying so much money for a guy that gives you the stats, especially in that season, the year that he won the All-Star in the 2018-19, it's like, okay, Blake Griffin, I could see him coming back. And then, in 2019-20, he only played 18 games and that was it. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the sad reality of Blake Griffin's career at this point. Especially, when it turns out when the LA Clippers days, going from, averaging 22 to 20 to 18, 24. And, it's crazy to think that he averaged his most points per game in that 18-19 season. And then just can't get back to that level ever since. And like I said, guys, it is a frustrating situation to see a guy that, it wasn't necessarily that bad. I mean, we see here that he was never like the best 3-point shooter, right? This currently now he's shooting 24%, 36%. Like the year he won the All-Star, or where he was an All-Star, he shot 36%, which is perfect. It's just ever since, 24% last year in his 18 games, and then 31% this year. I mean, it's getting to a point where you're going to have to decide as the Pistons. I think you just buy him out. Obviously he's not helping anybody. He's not, preparing young players to go into the future and kind of say like, hey, Rook, this is how you do it. This is how you play. And we see more of him just being kind of one of those, get my paychecks and just, play and just relax. And I think Blake Griffin's going to be in for a rude awakening. He hasn't really played a whole season since, a whole season in terms of like at least 80 games or like at least more than 70 since the 2014-15 season, which is crazy to think about. 16, 17, only 61, 17, 18, only 58. And so I think you're going to have to eat the cap and just let him go. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of Blake Griffin at this point. As much as we kind of view him as someone that we could see having, maybe a resurgence in his career at some point, his effective field goal percentage down, three-pointer is down, field goal is down. I mean, 36% from the field is just not going to cut it, man. It's such a terrible percentage, and especially for a guy that is not necessarily the best shooter. If you can't shoot at least 50% from the floor inside the three, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. And so, like I said, his lowest rebounding, his lowest assists, I believe, in his career, if I'm not mistaken. He probably had some 3.2s. And I believe this might be his lowest rebounding in his career, other than last year, only 4.7. But I'm not even going to count last year. In terms of the amount of games he's played, 5.2. I mean, that's terrible for a guy that I know that can rebound the ball really well. Like I said, it is frustrating to see that that's kind of the case at the moment, that he's not really shooting well, and he's just not really playing at a level and I would say at an expectation and a situation where I could see him being like the guy to carry a franchise. That's something that a lot of Clippers fans were telling me. I do respect Blake Griffin. I think he's a good player, but man, it is I never was like his biggest fan, I'll say that. But I still respect his hustle. I still respect the fact that he got to those All-Star games and did all those things. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the situation that we're at. And so at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with Blake Griffin. If he does get traded or if he does get released, like what team do you think could use a guy like Blake Griffin? For a guy that's a power forward, plays at about 6'10", 6'9", 250, you expect a lot out of this kid. Or I said this, you should expect a lot out of this guy, and he just hasn't produced the amount of level that you would expect a guy like him to produce. So, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this story? Like I said, it is a sad state of affair to see that Blake Griffin at the moment is just not playing to the level that I know that he can. And, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens as it pertains to all that. I'll get that commercial out of here. We're not about that free promo unless you pay us. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens, guys, because, like I said, it is a sad state of affair to see that Blake Griffin has, once been, touted as one of the best players in the NBA to now just becoming, just the way that he is right now, which is just not feasible for anybody to kind of pay that amount of money to have him really be there at that level. But like I said, guys, leave a comment and an opinion in the comment section down below of this Blake Griffin story. Now, as we transition to our main event, this is going to be the main event. We'll do the Andre Drummond stuff at the end. The one thing you have to know is that I am a fan of two teams. I'm a fan of the Boston Celtics because I used to live there when I was a young kid. That was one of my favorite teams growing up. I loved watching them. And then I also had the Utah Jazz when I was like a middle schooler, almost going to elementary going into middle school, as it pertains to kind of that whole scenario. So a fan of the Utah Jazz, a fan of the Boston Celtics. I think they're very similar in the way that they play. They have very high IQ coaches that, want to basically perfect the offense, perfect the movement of the offense. And, the Utah Jazz right now are on a tear. They're having probably one of their best regular seasons since that, Stockton to Malone team. You know, it was kind of one of those it's turning into that sort of situation with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. I know that I know my friend Brad would disagree. He kind of views them from a separate group chat that we talked about. He views them as the Atlanta Hawks when they had those 4 All-Stars and just kind of like fakes and not real contenders. And so when we view that stuff and we kind of look at the whole situation at hand, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I will, when Brad ever gets on, we'll talk about that. But the other team that we have to talk about is, of course, the Boston Celtics. And we have to look at this story first. And this was a story that was made an hour ago by CBS. And this is what the story goes on to say. After making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals in Orlando, the Boston Celtics have struggled so far this season. About a third of the way through the current campaign, the Celtics are sitting 5th in the East with a .500 record of 13-13. They have lost 7 of their last 10 and the 10 out of the last 15. In other words, they seem to be trending in the wrong direction. The main issues is that the Celtics are a top-heavy team in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They have one of the best and most versatile perimeter duos in the league. However, behind the 2 young studs, Boston has a lot of questions. Kemba Walker hasn't licked himself yet this season after missing the first few weeks with a knee injury, and their bench isn't quite as productive as it has in years past. The Celtics are ranked 24 in the NBA in the bench scoring this season. And, you know, they're ranked 24th in the NBA in bench scoring. Tatum and Brown are also great, but the Celtics just don't appear to have enough around them as they're constructed. So where does the blame lie as the team struggled this season? According to the general manager, Danny Ainge says it's on him. We're not playing with the passion that we need, and I think it's on the players, and the players on the team are on me, Ainge said. As we kind of continue to look at this whole story, guys, I have to do this. Oh man, sorry, just food ordering there. I do apologize for that. And you know, the last story can tie into this story as well. But where was I? We're not playing in the postseason with the passion that we need. I think it's on the players, and the players on the team are on me. Ainge said in an interview, the things that I could have done better, but I'm not going to mention names. I'll take this responsibility with the team put together by me, and we're not playing enough with consistency and urgency, and it's my job to look to see what we can improve, but it's always harder than improving from within. Despite Boston's slow start, Ainge isn't in panic mode yet. It's definitely not time to panic, but it's always time to reflect. My job is to reflect after every game that we stand and where our team is and how much better they can get. I know our team is better than they have been playing, and I'm confident they'll play better. And I have to call cap on this. I have to call cap on Danny Ainge and his assessment of the team. The reason why I think that he's lying and not really lying, but you know, I don't think he's being truthfully honest with us as Celtics fans, is because how can it be on the players when you know the players aren't good enough to get to that spot? I love Naismith. I think he's a great player. I think that he does a lot of great things for the team. But if we look back at that draft, let's look back at the 2020 NBA draft. And let's really look at, you know, the picks that were taken in this draft. We've got Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman. We'll go all the way to ours, right? And we'll kind of go down from there. The Celtics drafted Aaron Naismith. There was a lot of great guards out there. We got Cole Anthony doing really well for the Orlando Magic right now. Isaiah Stewart, not a bad player, but definitely not. I think he's a developmental player, so he does need a little bit of time. You got this kid from the Thunder, very high risk, high reward pick. He hasn't really looked that well in the G League game, so that's still right to be seen. Josh Green, I don't think he's played a lick of game time. I don't think. I mean, we look at his stats. I don't think he's played any type. And I'll have to look at his stuff there. But the two players to me that I think we could have drafted in this spot, and I really am frustrated with Danny Ainge that he didn't see this, Sadiq Bey and Tyrese Maxey. Those two players to me are two players that you could have taken over Aaron Naismith. And to be honest with you guys, I would have much rather have those two guys. I would rather much have Emmanuel Quickley. Again, another guy. Peyton Pritchard, I like. Malachi Flynn, another guy I like. Maybe you could have traded down if you felt like it was too high. But at the end of the day, you get the players that you want and you get the players that you think will be successful. This, to me, is what frustrates me the heck out of Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics, is that these are a couple drafts, again, where there's players that we could have gotten instead of the ones that we did get. And the one, to me, that just screams that we should have taken another player, or at least trade up if that was the guy you wanted to take. If Tyler Hero, and I'll go back to the story that rumored was the Boston Celtics were trying to take Tyler Hero. If the rumor was that you were trying to take Tyler Hero, trade up and get the picks to get Tyler Hero. If not, we're going to have to pick somebody else. I mean, these two drafts, and we'll go to the 2019 draft now. I don't know if there's like a link to the 2019 draft, but let me go to the 2019 draft and show you guys who we should have gotten in that draft. I mean, we look at the 2019 draft for Basketball Reference. Actually, no, we don't. Let's see here. Again, we look at this draft here. We got Romeo Langford. You got Sekou Doumbia, playing all right. Maurice Thibault, I thought that could have been a great pickup for us. We got Grant Williams. Not sure about that one. You got Ty Jerome, Nasir Little, Kevin Porter Jr. I think that would have been a great pickup. I mean, to me, when you look at the draft that we had compared to the players that were taken, I think this was the draft where you traded up and try and get a guy like either you get PJ Washington or you get Tyler Hero. I think this is the draft that you have to do it. But instead, Danny Ainge decides that, we're just going to take Romeo Langford, who he really liked, as a 6'4" guard, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, let's look at Romeo Langford. 6'4" guard forward, kind of that combo in between. He's more of a guard, to be honest with you. I don't think he's built strong enough, in my opinion, to be warranting that forward position. And, you got guys like Carson Edwards. I was never that much of a fan of his. He was a great player, but not much of a fan. Jaylen Brown, obviously, produced and did really well. Javonte Green. Taco, obviously, we like Taco. Marcus Smart injured right now. Jason Tatum. You got Jeff Teague, who has obviously shown that he is not ready to play. Kemba Walker has been... I don't even recognize this Kemba Walker, to be honest with you. I mean, let me go down to his photo. I don't even recognize this Kemba Walker, to be completely frank. I don't think this is the right guy. I mean, there's so many blunders that we made in these last couple years in terms of trades, in terms of free agent signings. To be honest, to really think about everything that's going on for the Boston Celtics, this team, when you look at it on paper, do you think that this could be a team that could be in the top 4? I think they could be top 6, top 7, but this roster, that the way it's constructed, it's just not going to cut it. When you got Romeo Langford, who can't see the court because he's always hurt. When you got Marcus Smart at 27, playing very well, but I think we need a little bit more from our guard position. Jason Tatum needs to step up and, in terms of take smarter shots and also take some of that point guard responsibility. There is no true point guard on this team. Kemba Walker is a scoring guard, and you let him be a scoring guard. I think you're relying too much on him to kind of do things that he shouldn't really be doing for the Boston Celtics at this point. He's a guy that's not going to, dribble up the down, get the assist, and run back the court. He's going to be a guy that's looking for his shot. There's a reason why he's the step back king. He's the guy in the mid-range shooting that he shoots so well. Like, that is where we should be looking at. But instead, what do we get? We get situations here where we have Aaron Naismith not really playing that much. Semi Ojeleye, Peyton Pritchard, showing that he is truly worth the value that we got him for. Daniel Theis, not cutting it for me. Tristan Thompson, he can stay in Cleveland with his baby mama. Tremont Waters, nothing. Robert Williams III, another project that I think needs a little bit more time, but again, not showing that sort of will and fire. Grant Williams. It's just like he hasn't really shown to me, we look at a guy like Grant Williams, a guy that definitely playing it really well. But again, it's just one of those things that I think he's a great role player, but definitely not what we need at the moment to get us to over the hump. And when I go back to this Danny Ainge story, we talk about this. Though Ainge denied being in panic mode, he did acknowledge that the changes might need to be made if the team struggles continue. And since he's made it clear that he doesn't think that coaching is the problem, those changes would be roster related. And I know that we love Brad Stevens. And let me get off the screen. We're not promoting this. We're not getting free promo for you guys. I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, I think Brad Stevens does have to take some of the blunt of the force of, this is on him as well. This roster has to be on Brad Stevens as much as it is on Danny Ainge. Brad Stevens, I commended him for his coaching. I thought he was better than Nick Nurse. And right now, Brad Stevens I don't think he's coaching the team properly. I think that there's too many times where Jason Tatum will go rogue and just go off the script. And we need Jason Tatum to be locked in and to also be a guy that's looking to not only get himself involved, but to get others involved. I know that may not be his game, but he needs to do a better job at that at the moment. And I think the same thing with Jaylen Brown. I know Jaylen Brown has kind of emerged as a scorer, but these last 2 games, I think he only put up like 24 points combined. And, for a guy that averages 26, that's not what we need at the moment. I think we need a lot more with this roster, but what on this roster for me is going to get us any assets to get another player? Marcus Smart to me is the only tradable piece here. And even then, I don't know how much people view his trade assets or trade value as it pertains to a guy that, is hurt right now. And he gets hurt quite often. And it's just one of those things where right now the Celtics are directionless, and those draft picks that we got Kyrie, we got, all these different types of players, and eventually they just keep passing us by. We don't get the players that we need. We had all these draft assets, and we're like, okay, we're going to get Anthony Davis. Oh, Anthony Davis doesn't want to sign long-term. Forget about it. We're going to go with Kevin Love. Didn't work out. We're going to go with Kyrie Irving. Didn't work out. And again, time after time, the Boston Celtics with guys like Anthony Davis, with Kawhi Leonard, it doesn't matter who we were trying to get. It is frustrating to me that we just cannot build a proper roster around not only Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but just build a proper roster where we don't have guys that are averaging 5 to 2.5 to 3.2 to 4.7 to 3.5 points a game for some role players that aren't going to play on the team, that aren't going to play on the court right now. And this, to me, is the frustrating part about Danny Ainge, that he needs to take more accountability. Oh, it's on the players. No, it's not on the players. It's on you. Hey, Yoy, how you doing, man? I do apologize. I am going on a little bit of a rant. But this whole thing, this whole mess, in my opinion, is on Danny Ainge. You're telling me Carson Edwards is good enough to wear the white and green? When you see all those jerseys hanging in the rafters, is Romeo Langford good enough to wear to wear the? I keep wanting to say purple and gold because the Lakers are on our tail, for championships, and right now we're tied, and they're gonna probably win it unless something crazy happens with Anthony Davis. I'm knocking on wood for that because I don't want that to happen. But who of these guys do you believe represents the green and white? No one here represents the green. The guys that have worn the jerseys before, your Casey Jones, your Bill Russells, your Bill Walton. No, I don't think Bill. Yeah, I think Bill Walton played for us. Bill Walton, Larry Bird, and all these other great, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, all these legends, Rajon Rondo as well included in that. All of those guys were good enough to wear the green. Who on this roster besides Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and even then Jason Tatum goes rogue sometimes, Marcus Smart I might include in that, but other than that, who else deserves to wear that green color? What have these players shown you that says, yes, these guys are going to win me a championship? These guys are going to help us get to the promised land. Nothing, and I mean nothing, other than those 3 players, and it's a big maybe with Marcus Smart, have shown that they respect the lineage, the heritage of the Boston Celtics. I'll let you guys know on a secret. I am a huge legacy guy in terms of the history and the facts. And, I'm not one of those going to be old school heads where I'm like, oh, everything has to be done this way. This is how, Red Auerbach would have won the league or would have won the championship. Like, I'm not I'm always in for some new, innovative, young, fresh faces to come in. And right now, we need to get rid of Danny Ainge. He has to go. And I've been saying this for about God knows how long. I said this before the season. I said he has to go because the way that he's been drafting, the way that he's been constructing this roster is nowhere near ready for a title contender. Hey, Yoy, how you doing, man? I don't know if I said hi already. Probably in a blind rage for the Celtics rant. But again, none of these guys have shown me that they are ready to wear the green uniform. There's only 2 players on this roster that are untradeable, and that is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And to be honest with you, it's frustrating to see that we have yet to construct a great team around these guys. Kemba Walker has proven to not be the effective player that we thought he was going to be. He's not the Kyrie Irving replacement. I know that's the kind of what we thought he was going to be. Gordon Hayward didn't work out. MAGA Hayward didn't work out for us. And it's just one of those frustrating things where it's like, do you know this franchise is at the lowest point of its career when you let a guy like Gordon Hayward dictate his move as to where he's going to go? That has to tell you something, man. It's frustrating to see that a guy like Gordon Hayward is someone who's playing really well in Charlotte right now, and meanwhile the Celtics are struggling at 13-13. And if we look at the NBA standings, and I want to look at the NBA standings really quick. 13-15. I mean, yeah, they played, we had those games where we have to make up, but they're on our tail. They're in the 6th seed right now. Same thing with the Knicks. Same thing with the Toronto Raptors, who had probably the worst start in their whole history. The East is wide open for the taking, and right now the 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets are taking advantage of that whole situation. Yes, we're 5th right now, but I don't think we deserve to be 5th. We are on a 5-game losing streak. 10 of our last 15. I mean, this is absolutely unacceptable for a Boston Celtics roster, for a Celtics organization that cares about winning so much, just like the LA Lakers. And I think we need to have a Lakers mindset if we want to win the championship. And that does not mean chucking up jump shots and anything like that. What it mainly means is getting the players that fit our system, getting the players that Brad Stevens, maybe these are the guys that Brad Stevens wanted. If that's the case, you got to fire Brad Stevens. I'm sorry. If he wants guys like Jeff Teague, Tristan Thompson, Grant Williams, Tremont Waters, Robert Williams, Semi Ojeleye, Peyton Pritchard, I think he can stay. Aaron Naismith, Romeo Langford, Taco Fall, I like him. He'll stay. But Javonte Green, Carson Edwards, if those are the guys that Brad Stevens wants on his team, he's got to go. And you probably should not take any advice from Brad Stevens ever again if those are the players that he's suggesting. I don't care how much of an X's and O's guy he is. He's a terrible general manager. You have to be able to read the room and read which players are going to add value to your team. And right now, none of these guys, besides maybe 3 or 4 guys, add value to your team. Whether it's on the court or whether it is marketing. And right now, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated Celtics fan, knowing that we're not going to get to the promised land. We're not going to get to the championship aspirations. I called it an oven-baked process 3 years ago. I said, we got Jaylen Brown. We got Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, steal of the draft. This guy is going to be the guy you build your franchise around. And what have they built him around with besides Jaylen Brown? Absolutely nothing. And I understand you built around Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, many other free agents, Al Horford, Aaron Baines. Tell me. I need you, Danny Ainge, and many others to tell me this roster right here. Does this scream? Does this say that this is a championship organization? Does this say, hey, we're making our push to win a championship. We're making a push so we can battle the Lakers and win that last championship. And, they may go on a winning streak, later on. They may go on a winning streak in the future in these last couple games. They may win their next 30. I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, what is frustrating to me, and I'll take my headphones off just so I can hear myself so I'm not talking loud and interrupting other people in this household. I just get frustrated with the way that the Celtics right now are in this cruise control mode and not making moves to send away Kemba Walker, to send away Marcus Smart if we have to. I mean, I don't want to, but if we have to, we do. Why are we not making moves to send out Aaron Naismith? Getting value for him because obviously he's shown, and he's only played 11 games. We've played what? How many games have we played so far? 26, 24? Like, we've played a lot of games. It's not like we've only played one or two. I believe, with the record shown, we played 26 games, guys. We've played 26 games. And Naismith can only get 11 games. Peyton Pritchard hurt, obviously missed a couple of them with the right knee, playing well for the team. But then again, it's like, Daniel Theis, nice center. Are you looking at it for a major retool? I'm looking for something, man. If we gotta deconstruct this cake or deconstruct this building and foundation, I am okay trading away assets to build up. I mean, unless they're expecting to get Andre Drummond, which is what we're going to talk about in our next segment. Andre Drummond's another player that we are looking at. I don't know if I would buy that in terms of the contract. I know that we could eat some of that salary up with the exception that we got from Hayward. But at the end of the day, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see that the Celtics at this point are not championship contending. It's not a championship contending roster. It's not a roster where I'm like, yes, these guys are going to get me to the promised land. I've yet to see anything like that from them. Tristan Thompson, nice role player, not a good starting center. 6.6 points per game, 8.2 rebounds. Those are perfect numbers for a backup center. Or if you want to play him and another center, like you want to play a Sabonis or you want to play a Vucevic or whatever, that's a guy you add to the team. But at the moment, just kind of talking about it right now. And Eoy, I am looking at a major retooling or something. It's like finding bad pipes in your house or bad. Oh no, you were cable. But bad wiring throughout the house, and it's like, yes, you have a great. You have a great setup, you have a great house, a great foundation, but if everything in it is not working properly, that house is practically worthless. And that's right now where the Boston Celtics, to me, are in that position of we're practically in cruise control. We're practically not committed to winning. I mean, what is the point right now? And Danny Ainge is like, it's got to be on the players. They're the ones playing, but the players are on me. It's like, yeah, the players are on you. The players aren't good enough. None of these players are good enough, in my opinion, to carry you to an NBA championship. Yes, they could get you to the Eastern Conference Finals game, but we saw what the Miami Heat did to the Celtics team. What they did to us. They completely dismantled us. They completely destroyed us, and look at where we're at right now. Look at where we're at right now. And you are right, Eoy. He never seems to go all in at all. Because here's the thing. If we did go in for Anthony Davis and he left a year later and we didn't win anything, everyone's going to make fun of us. Everyone's going to call us losers. They're going to be like, haha, you traded all those assets away and got nothing for it. And he ended up going to LA anyway. And I think we really should have went all in for him. And I would have been okay with that, because what it shows me is that we're actually willing to commit those draft picks and actually get guys. I mean, if you're not taking a Sadiq Bey, if you're not taking a Tyrese Maxey with that 13th pick, why are you keeping it then? What's the point of having that pick? I mean, let's look back at that draft. We drafted 14th and got Aaron Naismith. I would have loved to at least trade up 2 more spots and gotten Tyrese Halliburton. I think Halliburton's a great player, a great point guard, and that's what we need right now. We have too many scorers. We I don't think scoring to me is the problem. It's, a guy orchestrating the offense. And right now, Marcus Smart, takes a lot of that responsibility, but at the same time, it's just one of those situations where it's like, I looked at it and I'm just heated. I'm frustrated. I'm absolutely gutted with the way that we, could have gotten a Sadiq Bey. We could have gotten a Tyrese Maxey. We could have gotten Emmanuel Quickly. Whatever it was, like Let's go for those guys. Why do we have to get an Aaron Naismith? Yes, he shot the best 3-point percentage in the country, and he only played 9 games, or however many games that he played. I can't remember how many he played. And then he had an injury. I think it's also got to be alarming to me, too, that you see a guy like Romeo Langford. Great potential. Where is he? Isn't playing, right? Because he's always hurt. Had a wrist injury. There's always something with Romeo Langford. It's not like he's there every time and it's like, oh, well, he's not given a chance. Let him have a chance. He's always hurt. And to me, that is where I get frustrated with the Boston Celtics. I think that, like you said, Eoy, they never go in. They never are dedicated to building a roster, building a team, building something where I could say, yes, this is what we need in order to win a championship. Instead, what do we get? We get a situation where we're practically just waiting again for whatever reason, and just kind of at the same time, hopefully something will happen. And at this point, here's the thing that I get frustrated with. It's one of those situations where I see the Boston Celtics at this point just teetering on just mediocrity. And it's just because we decide to keep Danny Ainge. And I think he's got to go. He's got to go after this, man. I think you need a young, hungry general manager who's going to make the right moves. Someone who's going to make the right picks for the players or trade them. But right now, this roster is filled with so much fodder. And by fodder, I mean guys that aren't good enough to get you to the promised land. Daniel Theis, a nice guy, nice center, not a starter caliber center. Semi Ojeleye, nice guy, backup. Grant Williams, nice guy, backup. 2 guys on your roster right now. 3 guys if you want to include Marcus Smart. But even Marcus Smart is very inconsistent for me to warrant him as a consistent starter. I do love his hustle. I love his energy. But again, inconsistent for me. Peyton Pritchard, another guy that I like as a backup. But Jeff Teague. I haven't seen the Jeff Teague since those... when's the last time the Atlanta Hawks days even? Maybe a little bit of the Minnesota Timberwolves, but other than that, I haven't really seen much from him. And you are right, Eoy. It is just a bunch of guys. It's not like, Semi Ojeleye is one of the best 3-point shooters as a backup, or Tristan Thompson is getting us a 12 and 10 every night. He's getting us a 6 and 8 for a guy that's undersized as a center. Robert Williams III, again, a young player, growing and developing. But when is the jump going to be there? Already 24 years old, already 3 years into the league, hasn't taken that development. Kemba Walker, kind of in that same boat. Just a guy, right? Just a guy that right now is not playing his best basketball. And has really, I think, detrimentally hurt the team with the way that he's been playing so far. And I have no idea what to say about it, man. It's just one of those things that it does hurt me to see that right now the Celtics are just in this free fall, this fodder, this sort of situation where you just kind of see at the moment, just not what we need right now. And it's just one of those situations again where I want the Celtics to be competitive. I want the Celtics to get to the championship. I want them to get to the promised land. And they just aren't getting there at this moment. Right now, they're just they're frustrating me, man. And I can sound like a hurt Celtics fan, but at the end of the day, I know that this is all on Danny Ainge. Yes, some of it is on the players as well. I'm not excusing guys like Jason Tatum, who has been iso ball mania, and that's the reason why we lost that Miami Heat series, because he went too much iso ball with a roster and a team that I really liked last year. And of course, we had to give some of those guys up. And that really cost us a lot. And then you just see the situation at hand right now. I mean, it's just one of those things where I just get groanly frustrated and just ticked off with the way that we've been playing. And I hope that we do play better. I hope that we find a way to get to the promised land. But right now, it is frustrating to watch. And at the end of the day, I want to see where the Celtics are going. I want to see the future and kind of the path of where they should go. But it is, like I said, frustrating to know that the Boston Celtics at this point are just, to put it best, Eoy, just a bunch of guys with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And, the final story that we talked about and the final story we will talk about is, of course, this Cleveland Cavaliers situation where they plan on just sitting Andre Drummond until they find a trade for him. Though Drummond was pulled from the lineup due to rest, they told him that he could attend but not play. He's expected to make 28.7 next year. The Brooklyn Nets and the Mavericks have interest in him, and I think that the Mavericks should try and get him. Because I think that's probably a better fit than I think with the Boston Celtics. And, as much as I like Andre Drummond, I think he's worth too much to me to warrant him to be a player that we get for that much cap. He's going to eat up a lot of it. I know he's only there for one season, and I just don't think that his stats and the things that he does necessarily translates to wins. And again, that's just my opinion. That's just what I have to say about it. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below what do you guys make of it. And man, like I said, it is frustrating to see that the Celtics right now are just not really playing the style of basketball I like, and also just not playing together. I feel like they're just a bunch of ISO ball guys that are not playing as a team, and Brad Stevens has to take some of the fall for that as well. It's just one of those situations, like I said, where it gets frustrating to me to always see that the Celtics are always this close to getting to the championship, this close to getting to the promised land. And again, thwarted by the Miami Heat, thwarted by the Cavaliers. And, it's just, again, I'm tired of the situations of us always trying to be in that predicament of, okay, we're going to try and win. We're going to try and get to the promised land. We're going to try and get to where we need to go in order to win championships. And at the end of the day, it's frustrating, and I'm sick of it. And to be honest with you, it just puts a whole negative, it gets me in a really, I wouldn't say angry mood, but it gets me in a sad mood to see that we haven't really progressed and gotten in at all. And right now, like I said, I'm frustrated. I am PO'd. And at the end of the day, like Eoy said, Danny Ainge holds all the cards, has the right hand, but says, you know what? I think I can get one more. And it's like blackjack. He just he gets the cards. He looks at it. He's like, okay, I'm at, 19. Or sorry, like I'm at 15. I'm going to keep holding. And then eventually you beat 21 and then you end up getting nothing in return. And that's, to me, is where I get frustrated. I get annoyed. And at the end of the day, it's just a sad situation to see that right now the Boston Celtics are putting themselves in to where, like, I don't even have fun watching their games. Because they're not committed. They're not committed to winning basketball. They're committed to just a bunch of malarkey. They're committed to too much ISO, and that's the reason why we lose these games. I mean, there was no reason as to why we lose to the Detroit Pistons. I mean, let's look at their schedule from the last week. I mean, let's look at their schedule really quick and just kind of point out like where we're at right now in the season. Beat the Toronto Raptors, but lost to not only the Detroit Pistons, but also the Washington Wizards, who are one of the worst teams in the NBA. How do we lose to the Wizards? One of the worst teams in the NBA as of right now. February 15th, 2021. As a Bull fans, I know the worst things a fan base can do is not be angry at a team, but not care. That's exactly right, Eoy. I mean, I feel sorry for you because I think that there were some guards. I would have taken, honestly, Tyrese Halliburton, Eoy. You probably, let me know if you think I'm right or wrong on that. But I think he would have been a great pickup for you guys. That might just me being a Tyrese Halliburton stan. But at the end of the day, it's just, I feel the pains of those franchises where it's like, yeah, we won, but does it matter that we won? Does it matter that we get a W? Does it matter the things that we do? And at the end of the day, it's a frustrating kind of scenario to be in, like you said, where you're so mad, you're so frustrated, but at the same time, you just don't care. And again, guys, this is one of those situations where we have to kind of monitor and see, what's going on in terms of like, are they going to want to get better? Are they going to try and develop? Are they going to try and do things to help out the team? And at the end of the day, we just don't see that. And I wish that we could have saw it. And it's just one of those things right now where, I see that you say that Tyrese House looked pretty good. I still like P. Will, he's impressive as a rookie, all-around game. Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I'm not going to deny the fact that he's been playing really well and he is a solid player. But like I said, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, how happy is Zach LaVine going to be in the next couple of years? Is he going to be happy to want to stay? Is he going to be happy to want to go and play in Chicago any much longer? I could see a situation where he just decides to leave. He decides to say, you know what? I've had enough of losing. I had enough of this whole thing, and I just want to be in a situation where I can actually win basketball games. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I mean, I want to win basketball games. I know Jaylen Brown does. I know Jason Tatum does. We're getting to that point where those two guys they're gonna look at it. Hey, congratulations, Eoy. I can't be mad. I can't be upset right now, man. Congrats, Eoy. Congrats to you and your wife for your second baby, man. That's awesome. Proud of you, man. Good to see that. You got a second one on the way. Do you know what gender the baby is yet, or are you kind of still waiting on that? As he kind of replies to us again, guys, let's congratulate Eoy in the chat if you guys are with us live. Congrats. Got to give it to you, Eoy. Second baby on the way. And one right there. But, just to kind of get back onto the topic at hand, until Eoy tells me if they found out the gender of the baby. But like I said, Danny Ainge, I feel like is the number one responsible party. And then I think number two is Brad Stevens. And I know that's crazy to think because I'm such a Brad Stevens fan. But again, I have to hold his feet to the fire as well. I can't just give him all the praise when he does well and not criticize him when he does bad. He deserves some criticism here. His offense is not set up, in my opinion, to get guys great looks. I mean, right now we're seeing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just iso balling and hopefully, hoping for the best. A 5-out spread offense, but a 5-out spread, but not running like a pistol action or anything to kind of get guys open. And it just kind of creates this whole situation at hand where we see where the Celtics are right now, and that's just in mediocrityville. And again, guys, that's just kind of my opinion on this whole situation. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of this whole story? Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree with me? And again, guys, this was the main segment before we move on to this Anthony Davis news about his injury. And again, guys, love to hear your guys' comments and opinions in the comment section down below if you guys are in there communicating. But let us move on to the Anthony Davis situation. So, Anthony Davis is to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks due to the calf strain re-aggravating Achilles tendinosis. Anthony Davis will be reevaluated in those weeks, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, as he re-aggravated that injury. The Lakers will be conservative with his return, which could take place sometime after the All-Star break. So we know that LeBron James is probably going to have to take on a bunch of the load, but this could be a great place for Kuzma, who's actually been playing pretty well. I can't be upset with the way that Kuzma's been playing right now. He's been playing some tremendous basketball, hustle, effort, energy. This was the Kyle Kuzma that I thought we were going to get at the beginning of the season, where it was like LeBron was like, watch out for Kuz. He's coming different. And, the games past, I'm like, is this really the Kuzma that LeBron James says is different? But right now in these last couple games, he has been playing absolutely tremendous with high motor, high energy, and is getting those offensive rebounds and got a dunk on Maga Porter Jr. I mean, it was insane. He was able to get a huge dunk on him. And again, that just kind of goes to show you that hustle and effort and energy will get you a lot of places. Oh, that's awesome though, man. 6 weeks in, that's congrats, man. Hopefully everything goes well with that. Hopefully COVID will be over. I mean, at least, maybe not COVID itself, but hopefully, the restrictions will be off a little bit so you and your new second child can enjoy the fresh air, man. I know that it's been kind of a tumultuous time, and, a lot of people, I just think that it's awesome, man. It's awesome to see that, you guys are still kicking it. You guys are still pushing it, and just absolutely tremendous, man. Congrats on the second child. But to kind of go back to the AD sort of situation, man, and you're right, he can never stay healthy. I just feel like there's something with AD right now. And the thing is, it's not even what happened with the season. It's what happened even at the beginning of the season, which is like he's not aggressive. I had this guy as my MVP. I had him as kind of the guy to watch out for, as this guy looked like he was going to be the next MVP. He was going to take his games to the next level, and it looked like the Lakers were going to be like the most impossible team to beat. But he's actually played really bad. He hasn't played that well. And now that he's re-aggravated the tendinosis, it's just a situation right now where I want to see him play so well, but, tendinosis is really what's going to, hurt him at this point. It's just one of those situations where I want to see Anthony Davis play well. I want to see him do well. At the end of the day, we're going to have to find out what's going to go on with Anthony Davis at this point. I want to see him, like I said, be successful, be healthy. Ooh, excuse me, be healthy, and also, contribute to the team, because I think he's such a great player. And we'll see what happens. They're going to have to rely on LeBron James, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Gasol, and many of the other players to really get them going. I want to see a little bit more from Wes Matthews as well. The Lakers right now are playing some tremendous basketball. I don't know if they don't play tonight, if I'm mistaken. I think they play a little bit later. Let's see here. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything right now. We see Philadelphia and Utah in a tight battle. That's a good game to watch. The Atlanta Hawks struggle to win. The Houston Rockets lost. Wizards win. Chicago, Eoy, there you go, man. Beating the Indiana Pacers. Very interesting. We got the Sacramento Kings and the Brooklyn Nets. That should be a fun one to watch. Let me just look at this really quick. I'm trying to see if it's on ESPN or if it's just kind of one of those games. At the end of the day, as we kind of, at the end of the day, what we notice here and what we see here, guys, is that, and not really this game, but more so Anthony Davis, is that, I think the Lakers need to start looking at least for a third superstar, a guy that you can rely on once LeBron leaves, because, LeBron's not going to stay there forever, man. At some point, LeBron has to, whether he decides to retire or whether he moves to a different team, you're going to find a way to, make sure that the Lakers are able to stay in championship winning mode. You're going to have to find new ways to win. And I think right now we're looking at a situation where it's not the end of the Lakers dynasty yet. I think they have at least 2 more championships in them. And then I think that's when you're going to have to start questioning like what the moves are for LeBron, what the moves are for Anthony Davis. And I think in the 2 years that LeBron James does sign and then his son goes to college and into the NBA, you're going to see some team take a chance on him. And then we're going to see where LeBron James goes after that. But at the end of the day, like I said, it is a very interesting scenario to notice that Anthony Davis just cannot stay healthy. Stupid question. Who will keep playing at a higher level, LeBron or Tom Brady? Ooh, that's a good one. Let me save that after this point, Eoy. I will get back to that. But again, like I said, Anthony Davis has to decide whether or not, as LeBron James kind of decides his future, I think Anthony Davis also has to decide his. I think he's going to have to find another kind of superstar to kind of attach himself to in order to make sure that when he does miss games, the other superstar is able to take over and win them games. So again, guys, that is going to be it for this story and kind of our final story of the day before we get on to Eoy's question of the day, which is talking about who will play at a higher level. Again, guys, like I said, Anthony Davis, tremendous player, but I think it's going to be that time soon where we're going to have to decide what player he's going to be a part of, or if the Lakers can sign anybody. That's going to be the biggest question mark going into the next couple of seasons to kind of watch out for, as he did sign that extension, to see where this team goes on from here on out. And as Eoy pointed out, who will play at a higher level, LeBron James or Tom Brady? That one's a tough one, but if I had to suggest, or if I had to pick someone, I want to say that LeBron James, that's tough. I mean, that is tough. I'm going to say Tom Brady. Yeah, I'm stumped here. This one's actually a tough one. I would have to say, with all honesty, with the way that he takes care of his body, I think it has to be LeBron James. I was going to say Tom Brady, but I do think that, I think that Tom Brady, has, high level in him, but I think it's going to be very short, where I think LeBron James has until he's at least 42, until he decides to hang it out. I do think he's going to play until he's like at least in his 40s. And I think LeBron James wants to. I think he's shown that he can. Obviously, you're not going to get like the same I would say you're not going to get the same type of commitment. But I do think that LeBron James, in terms of points per game, assists, and rebounds, he's going to do enough to where I think he's going to be a longer longevity guy. I mean, LeBron James right now is what, 38 years old? I mean, let me look at this really quick. Oh, excuse me, he's 36. I mean, I think LeBron James still has at least 8 years of prime basketball. I really do. I mean, I know that this article was from 2016, talking about LeBron James on my age. I can't go to 46, and I don't think my wife would like that. Yeah, I don't think his wife would like that either. I don't think anybody's wife would like that, to be in a career for that long and just kind of do it, unless it's like coaching or kind of in that whole situation. I mean, his son right now is 16 years old, half of his age, and I think that he wants to play until his son's at least a year into the league, and then he's going to retire. I think as soon as his son plays, that's when LeBron James is going to end his career. And right now he's only 36 years old. I mean, that's not really that old, man. And LeBron James is, not of this earth. I really do think that he's not from this earth, because the way that he is able to recover, the way that injuries don't really affect him, it's just one of those things where I think that he could go very well into his future. But I do think that LeBron James is going to have a longer career just because of how many years he has left to play. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody, Eoy especially. Congrats on the second child, and also congrats on working hard and continuing family, and that's really awesome to hear, man. I'm glad that you are expecting your second kid. But anyway, guys, I want to say congrats to Eoy, and also, guys, thank you so much for tuning into The Charge, where we bring you the latest NBA news and rumors, and also basketball opinions, with the emphasis on basketball opinions and news and rumors that we get from sources like ESPN and The Athletic and Real GM and Hoops Hype, and many of those other websites that are great, CBS as well. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie, here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And again, guys, please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Like I said, the more likes, the more subscribers we get, the more that people are going to, go to the channel, and more people are going to check it out. But again, guys, please remember to hit that like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
You were back around and I would spend all day saying what I thought you knew, what I thought you knew. But you just wait, nothing hurts more than knowing it's too late to say what I thought you knew, what I thought you knew. So I wrote down all my problems, everything you used to say. And I got so mad about it that I ripped right through the page. And I wish I didn't care, give a damn about what you think. And I wish that I could finish, but I just ran out of ink. I made this movie's almost over, all I got is clips. You could have played your part much better, or I could have wrote your script. Yeah, finally got it through, but I ran out of time. I guess I should have said the things that I had on my mind. And time keeps spinning, hindsight's 20.